we're going to tap, lift up, bring down, tap, lift up, bring down, tap, lift up, bring down. So starting off with the basics, I want you to know that your acrylic, your monomer, and your brush that you are using is going to make a huge difference in the way that you pick up beads, in the way that your beads polymerize, and in the way that your beads just perform overall, the way that your application. So if you are somebody who struggles with application, I definitely want you to pay attention to this video, because this video is going to make your application 10 times better. These are some of my recommended powders, and there is one left out that I cannot make a full recommendation on. However, I do hear people say that they actually love the cover powders, which is Valentino. So Valentino cover powders are supposed to be very buttery and smooth, so I would recommend those, but only the cover powders as far as I'm concerned and from what I've seen on YouTube and other channels. But the ones that I have used in my opinion are the best are Not Polish, 876, Cairo's Nail Supply, Chisel, and Young Nails. Now, Not Polish, everybody knows that Not Polish is a go. Their formula is super buttery, super milky. It just goes on the nail really nicely. I have zero complaints in their colored acrylic as well as their covers. The rest of these may not be brands that you use on a daily or brands that other people use a lot, but they are very good brands. I do have a discount code for these two right here, 876 and Cairo's Nail Supply. The discount code is N2H. You can save 15 or 10% off on each of those brands. And Chisel is a very good brand. However, I will say that it is more of an advanced acrylic because it does dry a little faster than what people are used to. Young Nails is a great powder as well. I just don't use it too often, just because they're a little bit more on the pricey side. These three right here are going to be your best bet if you are working on a budget. I also want you to make sure that you are using a good monomer. Monomer is going to make the difference in how your beads perform as far as how quickly they dry or how slow they dry. You want to use a universal monomer. This one right here is a universal monomer, and obviously this is the same brand as this one, and I do have a code for that as well. Sometimes I will even use my nail supply monomer. This says fast drying, but it's really not. So be careful when you are going to your local nail supply store, because sometimes they will not have EMA monomer. They will have MMA. Always look for the label that is saying EMA. You do not want to use MMA monomer, you guys. So just be on the lookout for that and make sure that it is universal and it will work for every powder that you have in your collection. If you don't have a local nail supply store and you don't have any monomer with you as of right now and you're looking for something to ship very fast to you, I will recommend Mia Secret. However, just be aware that Mia Secret is known for having a very strong smell, but it does perform very nicely with all acrylic powders. I will also recommend Young Nails. Young Nails monomer is a very universal monomer and everybody uses it. I've used it before and I had no issues with it at all. Your monomer dish, you want to make sure that you're using a monomer dish that gives you enough space to actually work with everything and enough space to actually move your brush around. Now, this is something that you may not have even thought about, but using these is not going to allow you to move your brush how you need to move them. So honestly, I would never recommend purchasing these small dapping dishes. These are really supposed to be used to clean brushes, not to put monomer in and actually work with them. So if you have this and you're using this, please throw it away, put it to the side, use it for something like cleaning your brushes, not to actually perform a set on someone or yourself. So let's just get rid of this. These two I would highly recommend. Look at how big they are, look at how spacious they are. It is going to be easier for you to dip your brush in and work with the monomer. So just make sure that you are getting a wide enough dish and something that is deep enough as well. So you can get these from Dollar Tree, you guys. I got 3, I think, in a pack of these from Dollar Tree, and I believe these were $1 each. So Dollar Tree has dishes that you can get. You do not have to buy anything expensive. If you're looking for a more fancy one, Temu or Shein has dapping dishes for you guys that come in a little fancier glasses. So I would highly recommend that you get some of these. So in this video today, we're going to be using 876. We might dip around and play with some other colors, but for right now, we're just going to be using 876. This is the shade Ami, and I wanted to use this one just starting off because this one, the container is not completely full, and I want to show you guys how to position your powder when you have powder like at the bottom or it's not completely full. This is basically a easier way to position your acrylic powder so that you can easily pick up another bead. So you want your powder to sit as close to the edge as you can, just so when you're picking up the bead, you do not have to dig into it. You can just simply place your brush like this at an angle, tap, 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 and you will pick up the bead. So I'm gonna show you guys exactly what I mean and exactly how I work with beads. We're gonna start off with small beads and then we're gonna work our way up to bigger beads. I'm going to explain your liquid to powder ratio in this video, you guys, and hopefully it helps anyone that is needing better application or just simply needs help with how to pick up a bead. So I know you hear time and time again when you are placing your brush in the monomer, you want to make sure all bubbles are out. This is just so no bubbles are getting in your acrylic bead and everything lays perfectly flat, or you get the perfect bead, I should say. So we're just going to get all the bubbles out. Now, I will tell you straight up, I do not do this every single time I'm grabbing a bead. Honestly, I'll do it the first time that I'm bringing my brush out, and I will use it just like that. And then usually when I am in the process of doing nails all throughout the day, or I'm doing a set, I just simply go like this. We're gonna start off with a small bead first, and we're gonna immerse our whole entire brush into it. And for a small bead, I take my brush from the top all the way to the bottom. The side of the brush that we use to wipe, I'm going to not use that side. I'm going to flip it over like this, and I'm going to place it in my bead like this. And I'm just going to give it one tap. That is going to be a small bead right there. That is what your small bead should look like if you are trying to pick up a small bead, you guys. All right, so let's do it again. Those are very, very tiny beads, you guys. Now, typically, I'm not going to use a size bead like that unless I'm either doing maybe a small fill-in or I'm doing the pinky. I typically do not use small beads like that unless maybe I'm even filling in a side. So even a smaller bead, if you're looking for even a smaller bead, you're going to wipe this off like this. And you're just going to take the side of your brush . And this bead right here is going to allow you to fill any pieces of the nail, maybe on the side that you did not catch. And that is a tinier bead right here that you see, even smaller than the small. So that is what I do if I'm not looking to pick up a small bead, maybe a little smaller. You're just gonna hit the side, the real corner of your brush with some powder, but you are gonna do the same monomer sweep to get that size bead. So sweep all of it off from top to bottom. You're gonna turn it over. And we're gently going to place it in that beater, in the powder right there. And we're gonna get a small bead like that. Might have picked up a little bit too much, but that is what we want. Tiny, tiny bead. Just like this. All right. So now let's do medium-sized beads. We're gonna do the same exact thing, but now we're gonna take it from the middle. We're not gonna take it all the way from the top. We're gonna start in the middle, okay? And we can just do 2 taps. Completely polymerized. I'm gonna start over here. that is just a slightly bigger than the small bead, right? And if you wanted to make it a little bigger, you can do 3 taps, but I will say as well that I'm working with a not polished brush, you guys. I don't know if you all noticed, but not polished brushes have thicker, they have thicker bodies of their brushes. So they tend to pick up a little bit more powder than your standardized brush. So I just want you to note that while we are doing this, but all around, you're gonna get the same, pretty much the same outcome for every brush that you're using. So we're gonna pick up another medium size and we're gonna take it from the middle. We're gonna do 2 taps. Just like that. Okay, and now we're gonna do a large bead. Now when you're doing a large bead, you're gonna dip your brush in the monomer and you're literally just going to tap off the excess at the bottom of your brush. Then you are going to take your brush, flip it over like we always do. 1, 2, 3. This is a large bead, you guys. See it? That shouldn't have been right there, but this is what a large bead looks like. That is a large bead. Okay, we're gonna do it again. Whole brush in there, the excess, turn it over. 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4. See how glossy the bead is getting? That is what we want. And do you see how beautiful this powder is? So easy to work with, you guys. Like, highly, highly, highly recommend this. Now, if you are looking for something to really practice on as far as like your beads, and you want to really look at engage, maybe you're a visual learner and you want to really learn how to place your beads correctly, keep them in the same spot, keep them very uniform, meaning all of the beads are going to be the same size, and you don't have a training map, this is how you make your own training map. All right, guys, so we're going to use what we have around the house, and we are actually going to fold a piece of printer paper, and we're going to place it like that. And I am going to take a dime, a penny, and a nickel. This is going to be my large bead, medium bead, small bead. Okay, so I'm going to place them right here, and we're going to make a map, you guys. We're going to make a training map, and I know I'll put a link. There's a link in my Amazon storefront for an actual training map if you want to really practice on an actual real training map. But if you do not have it and you want to practice today and you have these supplies, then go ahead and get out a penny, girl. Get out some nickels, dimes, get out some coins, and just trace the coins around. Do that several times. So, spoiler alert, I did not need the nickel, nor did I need the penny. The dime was actually even bigger than what I thought it would be after I traced it. So I would recommend using only a dime and possibly using some pens or markers to trace the outline of that. And I will show you guys exactly what I mean as far as tracing the outline of a marker, the tip of a marker, to get a smaller circle. I also want to mention that this is not going to show you how to build up a nail. This is only going to show you how to place beads down and how to be consistent with your beads. An actual training map will usually give you a nail guide to actually build up a nail. So this right here would not be used for that. So I'm sure you could find something that's a little smaller if you wanted to, maybe even this, something like this, a pen or the end of a pen, and just trace it like this. However, my first instinct was to go get some coins. So we're just gonna make one more that's a little smaller. And if you want to practice with smaller beads, then go ahead and just get you a pen or a Sharpie, something that just has a small bottom to it that you can trace around. And that can be your guide instead of ordering and waiting for an actual training map. This can be a way that you're able to practice your beads quicker. All right, so now that we have all of that lined up, I'm just gonna place some tape over it because I want it to be a smooth surface and I don't want my brush going over any ink, and I don't want any ink in my brush. All right, so we're gonna take some Cairo's nail supply. I have a video on this powder if you wanna go check this powder out, but that is what we're gonna be using for, we're gonna start off with these beads, and we're gonna take, this is gonna be in the middle of a medium and a small size bead. So what I'm going to do is when I'm trying to get something in between a small and medium, I'm gonna submerge my whole brush in there. We're going to tap off the middle, and then we're gonna pick it up as normal. 1, 2. And we're gonna let it polymerize. And you see how it's just sitting on the brush, nothing is moving. We're still going to tap the back off because we want this bead to be perfect, basically. And you see how it just lets off of the brush? That is what we want. That is damn near a perfect bead, y'all. Do we see that? Then we can tap the sides in, but that is giving us the perfect bead. It's not moving anywhere. I just wanted to make it perfect. I just wanted it to be a perfect circle, but that is how we're gonna practice, okay? This is how we're gonna practice at home. So now let's try to pick up a very large bead. Now, I never use beads this size, but just to show you all that it is possible, or at least I think it's possible, we're going to go ahead and submerge our entire brush in the monomer, okay? And then we are just going to, not even, just a flick. We're going to tap, 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 tap. Do y'all see that? Then we're gonna dry the brush off. If you need to push your bead into place, do it with a dry brush, you guys. If your brush is wet at this point, your bead is going to continue to spread. So you wanna make sure that you have wiped your brush off, and then you are going to tap it in place. And eventually the bead will set and cure, okay? You see that? How we just tapped it into place? Never tap into place with a wet brush, or your brush is just going to keep spreading, okay? So let's try one more, and then we're gonna move on to doing it on an actual nail so you can see what to do and what not to do. So we're gonna take another one of these beads. We're gonna do a fairly small bead. We're going to put it in the monomer. We're going to pretty much tap all of it off. 1, 2. This is in between a small and medium-sized bead. We're going to tap the excess off on a paper towel because we do not want this to spread for where we're putting it. And that's it. That is your perfect bead. And you see it's not really moving outside of the lines because we did not place down a super wet bead. And even if you're having trouble making your beads too wet, always remember you can tap it on the back. You can tap that brush on the back, and that, when you're doing this, you're soaking up the monomer from the brush, so it cannot get to that bead anymore. It cannot make that bead any more wet if there's nothing to make it wet, right? So that's what we're doing right there. So let me explain that a little further. So I want to show you all what it looks like to pick up too wet of a bead, what it's going to look like on a nail. I also want to show you what a too dry of a bead is going to look like on the nail, so you can recognize what you're doing if you are doing it wrong at home. So if the bead is too wet, this is what it's going to look like on the nail. Do you see how that went on? Now, some people won't even dry their brush off to make it a little more dry. So if you are working with a wet bead, this is what's gonna happen, you guys. It's too wet, way too wet, okay? Now I'm gonna show you what too dry of a bead is. If you're drying it off way too much, like, it's not even, if it does come off, it's going to be so thin that there's literally nothing to work with. Or sometimes it may even look like this. And then when you place it down, it's still stuck in your brush. No bead should be like that, y'all. The perfect bead is going to look like this. Lift up right off, and you're actually going to be able to mold it. Right? You want to be able to bring it down. You want to be able to work with it. You don't want it to move. So let's do a bigger one so that I can really show you guys. Your application is coming out crazy because you don't know how to pick up the correct size bead, you guys. So something else I want you all to know is that there are going to be levels to your brush, okay? What I mean by that is right here is the top of your brush. When you are dragging your brush from here to here, on the side of this, after you have picked up liquid, you are going to get the smallest bead that you can possibly get from this brush. When you are taking it from here to here, you are going to be getting a medium bead. When you are taking it from here to here, or barely even tapping it on the edge of this, you're going to get the largest bead that you can possibly get from this brush, okay? So now I'm going to show you guys exactly how it looks when you are placing them on an actual nail, when the bead is too wet, when the bead is too dry, the effects of it, how it lays, how it plays a part. And then I'm going to tell you guys where to place large beads, where to place medium-sized beads, and where to place small beads. So we're going to be using Not Polished for this part. I'm going to show you guys what a super dry bead looks like. When you guys are taking your brush and you're going like this over and over and over again, you're literally taking all of the monomer out and it's not going to be able to catch anything. Like, do you see that? It's super dry. It wasn't able to really catch anything. And you're just not going to be able to work with that, okay? Then too wet of a bead, you're basically like, do you see that? you're literally not even draining it properly. So you're taking it, you're probably going like this, and it's not gonna work. Like it's just, you saw how it just flung off the brush. It's not gonna work like that, you guys. Or sometimes you're taking the correct amount. Let's go halfway for a medium bead, but you're tapping it in your acrylic powder way too much. Like you're picking up too big of a bead. So before you place that bead, it should be completely polymerized. So let's wait until it's completely polymerized. This part should be polymerized too, you guys. By the time you go to place it down, it's like super dry, and it's not going to move on the nail how you want it to. Even though it looks nice right there, it's not going to move down the nail how you want it to. So don't overdo it in the powder when you have picked up the correct amount of monomer. So let's go ahead, and usually for the first bead that I usually make it pretty large bead. I'm going to tap the excess. I'm going to do 2 taps. And when I tap, you guys, I bring it down. I go up, tap, 3 times, okay? Do you see how it's polymerizing? It's getting glossy. The whole bead is glossy, you guys. Now, this is something that I would do for, you see how it just sits on the nail, and I can move it however I want to move it. I'm going to wipe off my brush, and I'm going to bring my bead down. Now, the reason why I am wiping my brush off on my paper towel is because I do not want to continuously add liquid to this bead, because if I keep adding liquid to this bead, I'm going to lose product as I'm bringing it down because it's so wet. Now, when you get to the bottom, you can go ahead and add a little bit more just so to make it move a little better. But when you have just placed the bead down, do not add monomer to your brush. That's just gonna make it all come off. It's gonna make your powder keep moving too much. It's going to keep your powder polymerizing when you do not want it to. You want it to set, you guys. You want your powder to set. So I'm gonna show you guys again, and I'm gonna try to explain a little bit more. Now, usually when I talk through my videos and instead of doing a voiceover, it's kind of more all over the place. So I am sorry if that's how it's coming off today, but I'm just trying to not miss any points. Now, I hold my brush like this, but if you do not want to hold, your container, you can set it inside of something and it will come to the edge already for you. So that's usually how you work when you are doing a fast-paced set. So now we're going to take a medium-sized bead, and this bead would usually be the bead that you are making the apex with, okay? So medium size, we're dipping it in our monomer. We're taking it halfway, press, press, press. We're going to tap it in, 1, 2, 3. We're gonna let it polymerize, and that means the bead is going to get super glossy, you guys, completely glossy all around. We're going to tap it on the nail right here. Tap, tap, tap. And do you see? It's not moving. It's where we want it to be, but we can still move it. It's not too dry to where we can't move it, okay? Do you see how that went down? Now, since the bead is all blended, we can add a little bit more monomer just to smooth it out if we need any more smoothing, but honestly, it went down perfectly. So that is what we want, okay? So now we're gonna take the small bead. This is gonna be your cuticle bead, you guys. So we're gonna take a small bead, we're going to immerse our brush in the monomer. We're going to take it from the top all the way to the bottom. We're gonna tap it 2 to 3 times. I'm gonna give it 2.5 taps. We're gonna let that bead polymerize. If it looks too glossy, if it polymerized too quickly for you, you can always tap it on the back of the paper towel and press it like that. You see it's not moving. That's where we want it to be. But now we're just gonna shape it and mold it where we want it to go and brush it down. And that's it, you guys. That's exactly how we want our beads to apply, okay? That is what we want. All right, so we're gonna take the powder and we're gonna tilt it to the edge just so it makes it easier for us to grab it. Now, I also want to teach you all how to grab your beads. So we're gonna place it in the monomer. We're gonna tap off the excess and we're gonna flip it over. And we're gonna take it from the back. We're gonna take it from the back and we're going to tap, lift up, tap, lift up, bring it down, tap, lift up, bring it down, tap, lift up, bring it down. Okay? That is how you want to grab your beads. Do you see how it goes from here back to this part? That is making you get enough powder on your brush and pick up the powder to where it's not just on the tip of your brush. It's not completely like all over your brush. When you drag it, it's going to be literally all over your brush and it's not going to be evenly distributed. Okay, so let me show you guys what I mean. If you are doing the same exact thing, we're tapping some off and you're just dragging it, do you see what that did? Do you see the difference? It should not be like that. Granted, it still gives you a bead, and if you're using a good powder, it's still gonna come off your brush, but you don't wanna do that. Why are you dragging your beads? Tap, tap, lift up, bring down, tap, lift up, bring down, tap, lift up, bring down, tap, lift up, bring down. And if you want to, tap again, but we're not going to because we don't need that much powder. But do you see that? The perfect circle bead. Your bead should be on the brush like this. We're gonna tap, lift up, bring down, tap, lift up, bring down, tap, lift up, bring down. This is how you want your bead to sit on your brush, you guys. Just like that. Don't want it to be that liquidy, but I'm gonna do it again one more time. Tap, lift up, bring down, tap, lift up, bring down, tap, lift up, turn it around. Just like this. Just like this, y'all. And it's going to polymerize. Can tap it on the back, but just so it won't spill everywhere like the last one. But that's what you do just to prevent it from spilling if you want to. And that's how your bead should sit. That's how your bead should look, you guys. Okay? And when you place it down, it should come right off. That was a little too dry. But it should come right off of your brush, right? Nothing should still be on your brush. Now, again, what we don't want to do. Why are we doing that? Why are you dragging your brush like that? Don't do that, y'all. Do not do that. That can actually mess up your brush, especially if you're using weird powders. So one more. This is going to be, let's do a small bead. So we're gonna tap it in the monomer. We're gonna take it all the way from the top, all the way to the bottom. This one is not gonna need as many taps, obviously. We're gonna tap, up, bring down, tap, up, bring down. We're gonna tap it on the back of our napkin just to get the excess out, and we're going to place it down wherever we want it to go. All right, so let's do it on a swatch stick. Let's do a bigger bead first. We're going to, let's do a big bead. Okay, so we're gonna take it from here, tap, 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 let it polymerize. It's polymerizing very fast, which is a good thing. When it's polymerizing, that means your bead is getting glossy. It's not moving anywhere, okay? That's what we want. That's exactly what we want. Then we're going to bring it down. We do not have to wet our brush again. If we wet our brush, it's just going to basically start the process over. So this is exactly how we want our bead to be, okay? All right, that is our first bead. Now, I will say, if you have a hard time tap, lifting, bring down, tap, lift, bring down, go like this. We're gonna do a medium bead. You're gonna press it in, and you're just gonna hold it. And that, you can do that without having to move your brush or have it go anywhere. But the thing with that is you're going to have to really gauge how long you need to keep your brush in the powder, okay? So when you're doing that, just practice to see how long can I keep my brush in this powder and what size bead is it going to pick up. Is it going to be too dry? That's just a little tricky when you're doing it like that, but that is another method. I don't see too many people do it. However, sometimes I'll do it. Sometimes I'll do it if I don't have enough powder in my container. So again, if you're looking for, let's do a big bead. So we're just going to put it in the monomer, tap excess, and we're going to place it directly in, and we're just going to keep it there. That picked up a big bead, right? You can also do it that way. Now, obviously, we did not need a big bead for the top of this, so we're just going to place it down right here. That's a huge bead, but you have to be mindful when you are doing that method of how long you're letting it sit in the powder, because while you're letting your brush sit in that powder, it is curing, okay? So make sure that you're doing it in a timely manner. I would suggest if you're a beginner, don't do it that way, but when you start to advance and you feel like you can kind of gauge how long it should be in there, how much you're picking up, then you can go ahead and do that method. But for right now, we're just going to do the tap up, slide down, tap up, slide down. Now, when you're sliding it down, do not keep it in the powder. It should be up out of the powder, okay? So we're going to do the cuticle bead. Obviously, this is going to be a smaller bead, so we're going to take it from the top all the way to the bottom. We're going to do about 2 taps. Since this is a thicker brush, we're going to tap off the excess just a little bit. We're going to place it down on the nail, and it's not moving anywhere, which is good. We have full control of that bead, and that's all we're going to do, you guys. Now remember when I told you if you need a fill-in, you're going to take your brush, you're going to tap all the excess off, you're going to tilt it. Oops. Let's do another one. That one fell off. Since it is a very little amount of powder, sometimes that will happen. Just got to be quick with it. So we're going to take that small, tiny bead and just place it wherever you need to fill in. If you need to fill in right here, we can fill that in. Wipe your brush off, make sure that it's not wet because we don't want that bead to go anywhere. And that's it. You see how that was filled in right here? And this part is not filled in. That's all you need, you guys. All you need to do a fill-in. Not an actual fill-in, but if you're filling in a spot. So yeah, I hope this helped you guys. Let me know down below if I left anything out. Let me know down below if this is helping you gain control of your beads. If you have any questions at all, please leave a comment below so I can answer it. And if we need a follow-up video, we can do a part 2 to this. So just let me know if this helped you guys at all, and I hope you guys have a really good day, and I will see you on the next video. I love you so much. Mwah. Bye.